Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our City Council and Housing Authority meeting. It's August 4th, 2021, and I call the meeting to order and ask our clerk to please read the roll.
Vice Mayor Haddishelt.
Here.
Councilmember Alvord.
Here.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Here, thank you. I'd like to ask Laura Matteoli if she would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will all rise? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to ask our clerk to please announce the meeting procedures.
Good evening. On behalf of the Roseville City Council and staff, I'd like to welcome you to tonight's meeting. If you do have a cell phone, we'd ask that you put it on silent at this time. And if you haven't already picked up an agenda, there's some available at the end of the staff table. If you're here to speak to an item appearing on the agenda, all items will be open for public comment before final action is taken. Speakers are requested to restrict their comments to the item as it appears on the agenda and stay within the required 5-minute time limit. If you're here on behalf of a group with no other member of that group speaking, if you identify yourself as such, the mayor does have the discretion to extend your time. If you're here this evening to speak to an item not appearing on the agenda, you may do so under public comments. A total of 25 minutes is allocated, with speakers being allotted 3 minutes apiece. And as a reminder, the Brown Act does not permit the council to take action on items that are brought up under public comment. This evening, speakers will be able to go to the podium and offer public comment, and we will also be offering the call-in option at 916-774-53. If you do address council at the podium, the light will be orange when you begin to speak. When the light flashes, you have 1 minute left to conclude your comment, and when the light turns red, please be seated. And if you do address council, we'd appreciate your name for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. The first agenda item tonight is 5.1, the city's response to COVID-19, and our city manager, Dom Casey, will be presenting.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you. With a lot of the current news about COVID-19 and more specifically the Delta variant, I thought it'd be prudent to provide an update this evening, at least a brief update about what we're seeing here in Placer County, but then also operationally for us as a city, as an organization. Case rates of COVID-19 continue to climb in Placer County. Currently, we're at 7.3 per 100,000, which is our 7-day case rate, which is an increase, and it's been increasing pretty consistently over the last few weeks. But we've really shifted as a county and as a city, and not necessarily looking at case rates, but looking really more at hospitalizations, ICUs, admittance, and also vaccinations. So with that, current hospitalization in Placer County is 110, with 25 in the ICU. And this number has also been increasing over the last few weeks. And unfortunately, we recently did pass the somber milestone of 300 Placer residents passing from COVID-19. But I should note that our rate of deaths has slowed dramatically in the recent months, due in large part to our vaccinations. More than 200,000 Placer residents have been fully vaccinated, and 80% of our seniors, who are our most vulnerable, have been vaccinated. While there's still certainly room to improve, this is really good news for Placer County. And I'd like to shift a little bit to an operational perspective. We're awaiting the Cal OSHA board meeting later this month, and as you know, Cal OSHA regulates all workplaces, but specifically here referencing the city as a workplace. And so what we're looking at, and we're anticipating here at the end of the month, or really mid-month, about August 19th, the Cal OSHA board will meet and have a discussion about what we can expect to see. As a city, we're anticipating that the Cal OSHA board will align with the Center for Disease Control, CDC, or the California Department of Health, CDPH, and that they will align with either requiring masks be worn in the workplace at all times for vaccinated and unvaccinated alike, or that they will recommend it as it's currently recommended now in many of the counties. While some counties around us have mandated it, but it's also still from the state level a recommendation. And so we continue to watch that. There's another issue that we're watching is currently for COVID-19, you can self-attest, which essentially says that you're vaccinated or not. One of the changes, though, we are seeing not only at the state level, at the federal level, but then also here in the local level and some of our agencies where self-attestation needs to be followed up with vaccination proof, so demonstration of vaccination card, which would be changed what our current practice is under Cal OSHA, which is our employees self-attest if they're vaccinated or not. And so obviously these could be big changes, could impact our operations, and so we will wait patiently for the Cal OSHA board, and we will continue to do what we've done the last 18 months. We will anticipate the changes, we'll communicate what they are, and we'll make the necessary operational adjustments that we need to. Lastly, as the Delta variant spreads among unvaccinated people in the community, just as we are getting back to normalcy and our in-person instruction for our schools start back, and some schools as early as tomorrow, other schools next week, this is certainly not great time, not great timing. And so what I'd like to do is echo Dr. Oldham, our county health officer, in encouraging everybody who is not vaccinated to go and get vaccinated as soon as you can. With that, I'd be happy to turn it back over to the council for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does the council have any questions for our city manager?
Yeah. Do you have any sense of, on the case rate, the breakdown between vaccinated and unvaccinated? Or we hear a lot of news that this is the Delta variant is those who are unvaccinated are the most susceptible, right, in parts of the state. So do we have is the case rate broken down between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated?
It is broken down. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, Councilman Howshell, I'm sorry. But what I can tell you is obviously paying close attention to this and watching our county health official, Dr. Oldham, report out on this. What you're saying is accurate. Those who are vaccinated or unvaccinated in Placer County are largely the ones who are being impacted. As high as 99% of the cases that they're seeing across Placer County are from those who are not vaccinated, and 97% of those who are vaccinated are not ending up in the hospital or in ICU, and those are those current numbers as of last week.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we open up public comment?
Maybe just one comment is, Mayor, is that here, at least right now in Placer County, masks are optional. I know in Sacramento they're mandatory. You almost have to figure out where the county line is, where you are, but that's what it is right now.
Okay, I'll open it up to public comment. Is there anyone this evening, tonight, that would like to come to the podium and make a comment on this item? Seeing none, does not appear to be any calls just yet. The number to call in, and there is a bit of a delay, but the number is 916-774-5353. Seeing that we don't have any calls, I will close public comment. This is for information only. Appreciate your update on that. And we will move on to item 5.2. And this is when I will request our Economic Development Director, Laura Matteoli, to meet me at the podium, please. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so you're retiring, Laura. All of us at the council would like to read part of your resolution. When is the effective date?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. You said no tears, and I haven't even said anything yet.
Okay, I'll come
Okay,
back to
well,
myself.
all right, so this is a really big deal because you have been of service to this city for a very long time. So I will start us off, and my fellow council members will finish up. So a little bit about you. Laura Matteoli began her distinguished career with the city of Roseville on May 6th, 1996, and has chosen to retire after 31 years to the date with 25 years of dedicated service to the city of Roseville. Whereas Laura began her career at the City of Roseville in the Planning Department in 1996 as an associate planner, she was promoted to Administrative Analyst 1 in 1998 with the Planning Department and was promoted to Administrative Analysis 2 in 2001 within the Community Development Department. And again, she was promoted, as you can imagine, she's worked her way up to the top here, to the Community Development Manager in 2005 with the Community Development, and was promoted to Development Services Coordinator in 2011, and within the Department of Operations and Building Inspections Division, and she was promoted to Economic Development Manager in 2013 within the Economic Development Department. And you were promoted to your current position, Economic Development Director, in 2018 within the Economic Development Department.
Whereas Laura was lead on the creation of the North Roseville Specific Plan Phase 3 and facilitated the construction of the Creekside Town Center, Fountains Lifestyle Center, and the 2010 fire restoration of the Westfield Galleria Mall, and oversight of the backbone infrastructure improvements for West Roseville Specific Plan, and whereas in 2013 Laura led Advantage Roseville, the award-winning public-private partnership of the Roseville Development Community Corporation, the RCDC, and facilitated marketing efforts that contributed to the creation of more than 5,170 jobs and $557 million in capital investment within a 6-year time frame. And whereas Laura oversaw the creation of the 2017 5-year economic development strategies that focused on strengthening the city of Roseville as a community of choice for businesses and residents by attracting and growing jobs, capital investment, and enhancing community benefits. And
whereas Laura was tenacious in recruiting notable businesses, including Topgolf, Coquiva, Quest Technology, Solar City, McKennison, Penumbra, Living Spaces, Restaurant Depot, I don't even know this one, Annexter, and the Amazon Distribution Center. And whereas Laura oversaw the disposition of city surplus properties, including West Colonial Estates Subdivision, 7400 Galilee Road, 6382 Phillip Road, 290 Conference. A lot of addresses here. All right, 1203 Gabrielle Drive, and the acquisition of 116 Grant Street property, and many more. And whereas in 2018, Laura assumed the oversight of the Roseville Housing Authority that annually administers over $6.4 million in federal funds to assist, and this is an important number, 735 low-income families and $500,000 of city funds to reduce homelessness and provide for rapid rehousing assistance. And
whereas in 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Laura and her team administered $1 million of zero-interest loans to Roseville small businesses, distributed 60,000 masks and 500 gallons of hand sanitizer to Roseville businesses, she provided 16,000 meals to those experiencing food insecurities. Laura oversaw the administration of the Emergency Rental Assistance, or the ERA program, which assisted low-income residents with rental and utility bills. And whereas under Laura's leadership, the city's Economic Development Department received the 2020 Paving the Way Award from the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, acknowledging the city's achievements in advancing economic development in the region and creating a successful community for businesses, visitors, and residents. Roseville's ability to eliminate roadblocks and aid those struggling through the COVID-19 pandemic's most difficult challenges was part of the recognition. And
whereas Laura, throughout her career, established relationships and fostered partnerships that promoted the city, including serving as a member of the Greater Sacramento Economic Development Council's Economic Development Directors Task Force, board member for Blue Line Arts, and serving as staff liaison to the Economic Development Advisory Committee and the Grants Advisory Commissions. And whereas for more than 31 years, Laura has exemplified superior qualities of public service, always showing dedication and pride to her work in her relationships with co-workers and with the community and partners within Roseville and the Greater Sacramento region. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Council of the City of Roseville, California, that Laura Matteoli be commended and thanked for her service and dedication to the City of Roseville, congratulated on her many accomplishments, and wished a long, healthy, and enjoyable retirement. And we love you, Laura. That's not,
She added that part, but we all agree with that sentiment.
that's my part.
I would like for you to say a few words if you're up for it. I'll just say briefly that over your time, you have worked with so many councils and so many businesses that have come to Roseville, and you've really worked hard. And I know we're all thankful for your service. So
Thank you.
here is a
you.
resolution for you to enjoy, and thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I do have just a few words. I just first want to say it's been an honor to serve. Okay. I don't know if I can do this. Okay. It's been an honor to serve the community, and I truly believe I'm a public servant. And so I have enjoyed supporting and serving our businesses throughout this time. I have worked under many councils, and the present ones as well as the past, and I totally appreciate your business support, your support for economic development and staff. It truly goes to show where we are today in our community, and we are the, I want to say, envy of the region, and it's for all your hard work, your decisions, and your support. So thank you very much. To Dom, thank you for the opportunity. To my colleagues, you guys, I couldn't have done it without them. My colleagues have supported me along the way, the entire way. To my staff, I'll miss most, and they are critical in all the accomplishments. I couldn't have done it without them. So I leave you the best economic development staff team and housing division that we've ever had, and I really seriously mean this to you. And then to my family, my children, I raised them many years alone, so they sacrificed a lot. And so I am just grateful, and I love Roseville. So thank you very much.
I think that we would probably like to say a few words to you if you have a moment to spare.
I do.
I know we're on the clock now for you, your last day. So, Councilmember
It
Albert, do you want
ends
to
at
start us
midnight,
off?
Oh, I've worked with Laura for quite a while. I was a former restaurant owner in the downtown Roseville area and served on the Downtown Roseville Merchants Board. And I tell you, as a business owner, especially in that kind of an industry and a revitalization area, people like Laura are super, super important to us. And I think I first met you back, I was on the Roseville Revitalization Commission back before it got disbanded. And I think that's where I first started seeing you. But your reputation was just amazing. And I've heard it, and up to this point, I've heard over and over and over, our business came here because of Laura. Laura made it possible. We're choosing between Roseville and somewhere else, and because of Laura, we chose Roseville. And that's just a theme that is that's really impressive. That's pretty cool. As a merchant, I used to come to the EDAC meetings, the Economic Development Advisory Committee, and I started getting to know you there as well, and the Economic Development Group. And I tell you, your passion for helping businesses is real, and it's very well known. And I'm really frustrated you're going to leave. That's just. But we love you. Yeah, maybe we could. One thing I just wanted to share is I was talking with Laura about some of the experiences that she had, and we were talking about the Galleria fire. And back in 2010, the Galleria had a pretty serious fire, and it was a big effort to repair it. And during that time, every single business had to get recertified for occupancy. And Laura and Kim Ambule, they spent 3 days on the floor of the building department laying out folders for every single, there's hundreds of stores in that thing, one for every single business in the Galleria. And they, the city actually set up a remote permit office at the Galleria.
We did, and to this day, it's the only one we've ever done remote.
So for a year, they had that there.
Yeah.
Because they had to have a resource. But I just thought that's an example of serving the city and doing what needs to get done. And I just want to thank you. And again, as a business owner and just as a council member, thank you so much. You've really, you've improved this city personally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura, I'll be brief. I think what Scott just said was the reason why, in what I read on your proclamation, I changed the word instrumental to tenacious, right? Because you have been an incredible advocate for our city and our community, going above and beyond. And, you know, I don't think those who've served on a border commission or had the, you know, had the fortune to sit up here and work with our staff probably don't have an appreciation of what a family we are. And when I say a family, I mean a family that's candid and open with each other. And really, you know, we've bantered back and forth, right? And our community benefits from that open, constructive dialogue. And your family, and we're going to miss you. So, you know, I'm trying to get a motion to extend your time a little longer, but I don't think I'll get a second. So,
Dodson?
You know, over 30 years, I'm sure you have listened to politicians and people and boards and commissions drone on well into the hours, interrupting your dinner time. So I will not burn any more of your clock because I can't really say anything more than what's already been said. But I had the opportunity to first meet you when I was appointed to planning, and you struck me as somebody that was very hardworking and a go-getter, and my impression was not incorrect. And I appreciate all of the help you've given me over the years and the questions that I've had, and just your willingness to help, you know, and help me see things that I didn't see right off the bat. So I'm appreciative of that, and I thank you, and I wish you good luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
And Laura, I've enjoyed working with you over the years, and I would have to say that I find you very diplomatic, kind, understanding for both sides, whether it's a developer coming before you or some of the city staff needed help. You were always there, and you had a smile, and you made people feel comfortable. And even if you had to say something they maybe don't really like, but I think they understood, and you were always there to give them maybe some other options. So I think the fact that just how you treated people over the years. It was an honor to work with you. I always felt you're professional, and all the rides you gave me to meetings, it was always fun. We always had something to talk about, so that was a side issue. But what you've done for Roseville, you were always there for Roseville. You were always there for our community, economic development, our community, and you made things happen, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Laura, I wish you all the best, and I hope I will continue to watch you do great things in the world, if not for the city, then elsewhere, because I feel like you still have that in you. So
Thank you.
all the best to you.
Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to public comment. This is now the time for anyone to make a public comment on any item that is not on the agenda. The phone number to call in is 916-774-5353. Is there anyone here tonight that has a comment on anything not on the agenda? No? Do we have any phone calls? No phone calls. Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll move into the consent calendar.
All matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine in nature and will be passed by one motion. There will be no discussion of consent calendar items unless a member of the City Council, staff, or a member of the public requests a specific item be removed. This evening, we have no staff requests and no requests by the City Council. If Mayor Bernasconi, if you'd give a few minutes for phone calls to come in to see if they would like, the public would like an item removed, and then we can make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
And I'm assuming there's no one here tonight that wants to remove an item. And do we have any phone calls? We have no phone calls.
So may I
Okay.
have a motion to approve the consent calendar as recommended?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Haddashelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes, thank you. Our next item is 8.1, retired annuitant 180-day wait period exception.
Good evening. Mayor, council members. It's always nice to follow a positive moment for the city. I'm Stacy Peterson, Human Resources Director, and we do have the need to bring back a retired annuitant. Economic Development Department, their housing division, has a need to bring back a recent retiree to train her replacement because she has some very specialized knowledge on all of the specialized housing funds and budget and program. So this will be just a part-time assignment for 4 weeks. It's very brief. The California Public Employee Reform Act of 2013, what we call PEPRA, requires a 180-day wait period before a retiree may return to a public agency to resume work. So unless that wait period is waived by council, we're not able to bring back a retiree. Melissa Hagan retired as a management analyst too and had worked for the city for 20 years. So she has, as I said, that specialized knowledge that we need to transition and pass on. The assignment and the pay rate meets the requirements for CalPERS. So we've established that, and the cost will just be $1,900 for this simple transition to help our new employee be successful. Therefore, staff recommends that council adopt a resolution approving the 180-day wait period waiver so that we can return Melissa for a short period.
Great, thank you. Does the council member have any questions of Stacy?
I did. Stacy, if you needed a little bit more time, would you be coming back to council?
I'm not anticipating that we need more time, but
I'm just saying a month or a week, or is that how it works?
It's in our resolution, so I think that we would have to, if they do have to extend this because of the time frame that we've put in there. But what we understand is that transition period, it should be sufficient.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just a quick clarification. So when we bring people back like this, it's just a straight hourly rate and there's no retirement benefits, other benefits that
Correct.
are applied to it?
Yeah, they cannot be paid more than what they were paid when they left the city, so they have to be paid in the same salary schedule range that they were paid in previously. Yes. No benefits.
Okay. I'll open it up to public comment. The number to call in is 916-774-5353. If there's anyone that wants to call in, is there anyone here tonight that wants to speak to this item? Okay, we'll close public comment. Bring it back to council for either further deliberation or for a motion.
I have nothing.
Nothing.
So the adopted motion is to adopt resolution number 21-357, resolution for exemptions to the 180-day wait period, Government Code Section 7522.56 and 21224. May I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Vice Mayor Haddishelt?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord?
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza?
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, our next item is 8.2, Demographer and Mapping Software Redistricting Services Professional Services Agreement, and our clerk will present to us.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to request approval to hire a demographer to assist city staff and the Independent Redistricting Commission to redraw the current council districts. So by way of background, given the complex nature of redistricting, it's necessary to contract for a professional demographer or a qualified consulting firm to assist city staff and the Independent Redistricting Commission in redrawing council districts in accordance with all laws. The city published a request for proposals in March of 2021. The city received 3 submittals, one from Bayer Demographics and Research, one from Flow Analytics, and lastly from National Demographics Corporation. The Independent Redistricting Commission conducted interviews and recommends the City Council approve a professional services agreement with Mal Foster and Alongi Incorporated, doing business as Flow Analytics. A little background on the fiscal analysis and experience of the respondents. Bayer Demographics and Research is a brand new firm formed in 2021. The principal does have past experience approximately 4 to 10 years ago in the Los Angeles area, but has not done any local redistricting since that time. The company is a single-member LLC, and the amount submitted was $75,000. Flow Analytics, they have 10 years of experience. They partner with a local company in Sacramento called Redistricting Partners. Their past experience, many organizations in Washington, Oregon. The ones in California are Plumas County, Santa Ana. They've also contracted with Lincoln, and they did Davis's initial districting for them. And then National Demographics Corporation has 41 years of experience, and the past experience for National Demographics Corporation includes 350 jurisdictions, including Roseville. They helped us through our districting process. So the IRC was impressed with Flow's preparation and knowledge during their interview. The IRC recommends Flow Analytics due to the extensive services they will provide to assist staff, the IRC, and the public, such as an online public involvement component to submit maps and a robust outreach plan. The company will work with our public affairs department to make sure that we contact the correct constituents, community organizations, neighborhood associations, and other organizations that may be interested in the redistricting process. So can we go to Flow's scope of work slide, please? So project planning and outreach kickoff meeting, if approved this evening, we'll meet with Flow staff and the chair of the IRC to plan community outreach and the engagement plan. We'll determine a firm project timeline. I did give you a schedule that was tentative prior to this. And we'll work with them to schedule the future public meetings. So a huge component of Flow's was the training of the IRC. They will train them on their role, on all the federal and state Voting Rights Act information, on our charter provisions, and the training also will feature national and legal experts and academics in redistricting. And then lastly, an overview of the process of redistricting. So we're anticipating at least 2, maybe 3 training sessions prior to receiving the census data, which is anticipated to be delivered mid to late September. Additionally, on the scope of work, Flow will conduct analysis preparation, including all the data collection, the decennial census and redistricting data files, and they will also perform a baseline demographic analysis to identify the growth areas in the city of Roseville. They will also conduct 5 public hearings, 1 in each of the city's 5 districts, and the hearings will be facilitated by Flow's experienced team. And finally, Flow will develop a final district proposal and coordinate with Placer County Registrar's Office to file the adopted map. Regarding map adoption, following analysis of the map submitted to the public and the feedback gathered during the public hearings, Flow will develop a minimum of 4 City Council district boundary options for consideration by the IRC. Each map option will include the demographic data as part of the initial assessment, as well as a thorough written description of the boundaries and the benefits and limitations of each, including a description of the communities of interest that were considered in creating the map. The final map and the accompanying data tables and the written description will be compiled into a single report to be delivered to the City Council. Charter requirements. At the November 2020 election, the voters implemented Chapter 11, and under Chapter 11.13 of the Charter approved by the voters, the wording states the council shall appropriate sufficient funds for the IRC's work. Also per the Charter, subject to funds appropriated to the IRC may retain consultants following the city's standard procurement process, and the council shall provide any applicable consultant agreements, which is what we're asking for this evening. The IRC shall retain the sole authority for determining the selection criteria for consultants, which they followed a very thorough plan on interviewing and reviewing the submitted requests for proposals. And in closing, Flow Analytics was selected by the IRC after following the city's RFP process And funding for these professional services is provided within the city clerk's budget fiscal year 2021 and 22. So the recommendation to council this evening is to adopt the resolution approving a professional services agreement by and between the City of Roseville and Mall Foster and Allegheny Incorporated, doing business as Flow Analytics, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the City of Roseville. That concludes my presentation, and I will stand for any questions of the council or the public.
Excellent, thank you. Do the council members have any questions? I'll start on this side. Questions from?
Maybe just the city clerk. So the organization has gone through the process as far as for Flow. Any of the criteria that you had are for, and also how about for the city attorney? If there was any questions, that was okay?
Yes, yes, they've met all requirements as outlined in the RFP.
Okay.
If you want to provide some clarification, staff used our template RFP for it and followed our RFP policy in releasing the RFP.
Thank you.
No questions. I'm just glad we're moving forward to get these maps redrawn.
Any comments, questions over here?
You want to go first? Or?
I don't care.
So not knowing what the RFP said, can you illuminate what was it?
Oh, the RFP was large. It talked about an outreach plan, it talked about drawing of the maps, it talked about training,
Okay.
everything that was outlined in the presentation as far as their scope of work. Plus, there's more that we just didn't add to the presentation, but it's a very thorough RFP, very professional staff, easy to work with,
Okay.
great cooperation.
That was the criteria in which the independent redistricting committee reviewed each of them.
They ranked each demographer based on experience,
Okay.
cost of the proposal, and what was the last one?
Qualifications.
Qualifications, yes. And then we did call references as well.
Okay.
So
And you mentioned a number, you mentioned Plumas County, they're at large, right? Lincoln, did they do that as part of Lincoln's going to districts?
no, they're doing Lincoln's redistricting.
They're doing Lincoln's
Yes,
redistricting.
they are. And what I failed to tell you is the cost proposal is not to exceed $96,140. So it was fairly in range with the $75,000, but because of the extensive outreach and the public hearings that they will conduct on behalf of the IRC, we felt that that price was fair.
So that gets me to my next question. Oftentimes, we, on consent, have, we award contracts to the lowest responsible bidder. Clearly, this number is higher than the other two. So do we have the obligation to go with the lowest responsive bidder?
We do for an RFQ, but for an RFP, it's based on qualifications, experience, and then cost. So no, we do not have to go with the lowest responsive bidder.
So is there a difference between professional services and we're buying trucks, right? Is that what you're?
That's
is that
different,
it?
that's
So we
correct.
do not have to go with the lowest responsible bidder,
That's correct.
unlike others where when we buy a truck or things like that, equipment, we go with the lowest responsive bidder. Okay, great. Criteria, working with independent. Did I hear you say they're going to deliver, so there's going to be the previous process? The public was encouraged to submit maps. Did I see that in here?
Yes.
Okay.
They do have an online portal tool. The public will be able to submit those maps. They will develop the 4 maps that will be submitted during the public hearings. And based on what the citizens, the residents, the constituents say about those 4 maps, they will take one of those 4 maps and present it to the council as a map.
So they, being the independent redistricting committee, will determine the 2 to 4, or Flow?
The redistricting commission.
Okay, commission.
But Flo will develop the report.
And then I think you got to my last question. So they deliver, because this is a charter amendment, and other than this action tonight, we really don't. I mean, I didn't understand. They're delivering a final map, accompanying data tables, and a written description. What do we do with that? I mean, we're not,
You file it with the county registrar, and that will be your district map for the next election.
okay, even though, it's a
council
little
could-
odd, isn't it?
Well, the
This is a little,
That's what the Independent Redistricting Commission was formed for.
right,
To
usually
completely
it's a
take
governmental
out,
body
yeah,
that
to
is
completely-
doing all that, right?
To completely take the city council out of the map drawing business.
Those are all the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is more of a comment, and I'm just glad to see this happening. I was on the council that voted for this independent redistricting committee, and I think that is a very important element of what we're doing to take us out of it so that we're not involved. There's no question that this is what the community wants. It's a community-developed map, not a already elected type person's map. And so I wish all jurisdictions, I kind of wish it was a requirement of all jurisdictions to have to do that with an independent body, then it truly is a community-based process. So I just am really appreciative of the hard work this committee is going to have to do. And my understanding is when it comes to us, our obligation is to pretty much approve it. We don't really get to modify it or anything like that.
No
So
modifications.
great. Okay. Thank you.
All independent. Okay. I will open it up to public comment. So we'll take phone calls on this item, 916-774-5353. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to this item? No? And do we have any phone calls? We don't have any phone calls. Okay. Close public comment and bring it back to the council. Are there any other comments before we have a motion?
I have one, Mayor. I just want to ask about the 3 training sessions. Will that be open to the public? Will,
Yes.
here. And the 5 public hearings, the one that they go in districts, so that won't, they'll be open if you show up. It's not on Zoom or anything
No,
like that?
No. We will conduct all live meetings. We've already got the 5 of the locations within the districts. We're just looking for a location right now in District 5. But all the meetings will be open to the public. Trainings, everything.
Okay, then after they do the 5 public hearings and the 3 training sessions, will it come back here to say who they picked?
Yes.
Okay, in our.
Yes. They'll
So
deliver
it'll
a
be on
report.
TV. That's what I want.
And deliver the map that they've adopted, the IRC.
Okay.
The process is that we anticipate that we'll have a map drawn, or the 4 maps drawn. I have to publish those 4 maps, and within 30 days after publication, we have to hold 5 public hearings. So we're anticipating the month of December and January to be very busy because we want to have those maps adopted by February 1st because the election period starts February 8th.
Okay. I just know people who would like to be present at these meetings. I just want to make sure that they're out there so they know where to
They're
go.
absolutely welcome.
Okay.
So when it comes back here, right, you can just put it on consent because there's not really anything we're going to do.
No, it actually has to be presented to you with a plan. And I will seek information from the city attorney on whether or not it needs to be adopted by ordinance.
It does, the council doesn't adopt the map, so it will be an informational report item only.
Okay.
Do we have any liability with, I mean, what's the liability of adopting something that we didn't have any part of?
You're not adopting it. The Independent Redistricting Commission has sole authority to adopt the map. So council will just be hearing an informational report item on what the Independent Redistricting Commission decided.
Sure, you just said ordinance, so we're going to.
So that's
said
a
no
mistake.
ordinance.
No ordinance, no
I'm sorry,
resolution.
I didn't hear the no. Thank you. That was why I was asking. Thank you, Mayor.
I have a question of our city attorney. So this is an independent redistricting committee. What is the role of the council, say, at these workshops, during the process of the meeting? Can you let us know?
Okay, so the Independent Redistricting Commission is an independent body from the city council. They have the sole authority to draw and adopt the map. So the role of council would be merely as observers. If they want to choose to go to the meetings, they can observe. But other than that, they can't provide any direction to the Independent Redistricting Commission or
They have to do their body independent of the city council. They have to do their work.
I think it's really important that we all hear that and understand that this is independent for a reason, and that I think even if we were to attend a meeting, we are wearing the hat of a city council member, and I think any conversations offline with this committee, for me, and I think for all of us, feels like it would not be appropriate. I think we let them do their job and we do not interfere, and that would be my recommendation for all of us, just so that this remains clear and really transparent through the process when it comes before us. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, I'll have a motion, please.
The motion is to adopt resolution number 21-343, approving a professional services agreement by and between the City of Roseville and Mall Foster and Elgani Incorporated, doing business as Flow Analytics, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Haddishelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Cucci.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes. Thank you very much, Sonia. You're welcome. Okay, next item in front of us is item 9.1, the fiscal year 2020-2021 third quarter financial report. We have our financial team in front of us. We have Scott and Dennis. Welcome.
Mayor Bernasconi and council members. With me tonight is Scott Pettengill, the city's budget manager. Scott's going to provide an update on the city's budget status for last fiscal year through March 31st based on the third quarter report that was included in your packet, as well as more updated information about the city's sales tax revenue, the general fund year-end surplus projection that we've updated, and the schedule for closing the books on last year, fiscal year 21, and our schedule for reporting back to the City Council. And then I'll conclude our presentation with a couple brief updates, including information about recent CalPERS news and the American Rescue Plan funding. And so now I'll turn it over to Scott.
Thank you, Dennis. Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and council members. Including your agenda tonight is a detailed version of the third quarter financial report, and I'll be presenting a few highlights included in that report. First, I'll be going over the general fund. Sales tax revenue in the general fund continues to exceed our expectations and our budget estimates. You'll recall that we reduced general fund tax revenues in the 21 budget by $14 million due to the pandemic, including nearly $9 million or 15% for our Bradley Burns sales tax, which is our largest revenue source in the general fund. Our latest projections indicate that this revenue source will exceed the budget estimates by $9 million or more. Bradley Burns sales tax revenues will likely exceed our pre-pandemic estimate of $59 million instead of the 15% reduction or $50 million built into the budget. I'll now shift over to the general fund department performance and provide additional information on sales tax in a few minutes. Although most general fund departments are spending in line with their budgets or under budget due to spending controls, a few departments are expected to end the year under budget on revenue collection due to the pandemic, including the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Department and the City Clerk's Passport Center. Stronger than anticipated building permit revenues are offsetting the impact of these revenue shortfalls. The police and fire departments incurred additional overtime last year due to COVID-19, as well as putting on a fire academy and sending strike teams to fight wildfires. The police department expects to cover its additional overtime with budgetary savings, and staff will be coming back to council in September with a budget adjustment to recognize the reimbursement revenue and additional overtime associated with the fire department strike team efforts. The third quarter report also provides an update on each of the city's enterprise funds, including the Youth Development Fund. As of the end of the third quarter, the Electric Fund and the EU funds anticipated meeting or exceeding revenue targets. Increased retail sales associated with stronger than expected customer usage as a result of residential customers using more electricity and water while they work and schooled at home might result in slightly higher revenues than budget in the electric and water utilities in fiscal year 21. Revenues in the Youth Development Fund continue to trend below budget through the third quarter of FY21 due to reduced enrollment caused by the pandemic. As a result, the Youth Development Fund is expected to end the year with a significant shortfall. Staff are exploring potential resources available to offset the financial impacts, including federal stimulus funding, and will continue to keep council apprised of available options. Expenditures in all the enterprise funds are expected to end the fiscal year under budget due to vacancies and expense controls on materials, services, and supplies.
for the 3 development fee funds highlighted in the quarterly report: the fire facilities fee, the public facility fee, and the strategic improvement fund. Staff reduced the revenue estimates in the 21 budget based on the anticipated impacts of COVID-19 on development. However, development activity in the city has been much stronger than we anticipated, and revenue in these funds have exceeded the annual budget estimates as of the end of the third quarter. On the following slides, we'll be covering 4 supplemental topics, including the quarterly sales tax summary report, which is attached to your third quarter report, sales tax information by geographical area for the city's largest tax generators, a general fund 21 year-end projection, and a year-end close schedule for fiscal year 21. And finally, Dennis will conclude with a couple updates, including an update on CalPERS. Similar to the second quarter report, we include an attachment in the third quarter report that provides an updated quarterly sales tax information from the city's sales tax consultant. The report includes the city's top 25 Bradley Burns sales tax remitters in alphabetical order, and then provides a couple tables and graphs along with economic highlights for the quarter. I wanted to highlight one graph in particular in this report. This graph shows the annualized percentage change in sales tax receipts distributed to the city. The spike from 2018 to 2019 on the left-hand side of this graph or chart shows the disruption caused by a software change that the state implemented. The right-hand side of the graph shows the decline in the first half of 2020 due to the pandemic, and then a partial recovery in the third quarter, slowdown again in the fourth quarter due to the regional stay-at-home order in December, and then the significant increase in the first quarter of 2021, which is the third quarter of our fiscal year. Auto sales and online retail purchases have been the primary drivers of this recovery in the city of Roseville. This next graph that we update on a regular basis shows multi-year sales tax trend data for the city's 4 major tax generators. You can see the typical seasonal trends in this data, and you can see the effects of the pandemic in the last 5 quarterly data points covering 2020 and 2021 in the right-hand side of the graph. The Roseville Auto Mall has rebounded from the downturn, while the Galleria, the Fountains, and Creekside Mall have all recovered to some extent, but we're still below pre-pandemic levels. Growth in online sales and sales tax on those transactions helped the city make up for the reductions in brick-and-mortar retail. Next, I want to provide a projection for anticipated 21 year-end general fund surplus based on our latest estimates of tax revenues and department activity. General fund tax revenues continue to perform much better than we anticipated. As the latest estimates provided by our city's sales tax consultant, we are projecting a 9 to 11 million Bradley Burns sales tax above budget for fiscal year 21. The reason for the range is because we didn't have the finals. We won't have the final numbers until later this month. The latest consultant projections also indicate that Measure B revenue will exceed the reduced budget we estimated due to the pandemic by $4 million. Property tax revenue is expected to exceed the budget by $2 million. Department operating revenues, other fees, fines, transfers are estimated to end the year between $1 million under to $1 million over budget, with building permit and other revenues offsetting some of our shortfalls in other departments. Due to the positive year-end results, we will not need to transfer $2 million from the Economic Stabilization Reserve as we had initially budgeted. And general fund departments are estimated to end the year under budget due to $4 to $6 million in labor savings and $1 to $3 million in material, service, and supply savings, leading to a net projected surplus of $17 to $25 million. I think it's worth noting here that a majority of the projected surplus is due to actions we took in response to the pandemic. The higher than anticipated revenues highlighted in the blue in the slide were largely due to reductions in revenue estimates in light of the uncertainty surrounding the impact of the pandemic on our primary revenue streams. The expenditure savings highlighted in green on the slide were largely due to spending controls that were put into place to offset the anticipated impacts of the pandemic. So I'll conclude with an overview of the timing associated with closing out fiscal year 21. In September, you will receive a recommendation to approve your year-end budget adjustments. These adjustments will include the recognition of strike team reimbursements in the fire department, as I previously mentioned, and align the budget with council-approved actions such as CFD bond issues. And on January 19th, we'll provide you the fourth quarter fiscal report for fiscal year 21, as well as our year-end audits. And with that, I'll turn it back to Dennis.
Thanks, Scott. So Before I share a couple updates, I just want to mention that this projected year-end surplus for last fiscal year will be finalized over the next couple months, and then it will be audited before we bring back the final information to the council in January. This surplus represents one-time resources because we've built the current year budget, fiscal year 21-22, based on assumptions that there will be a full recovery from the pandemic this year. So staff will be bringing forward recommendations for this one-time surplus early next year that are one-time uses, things like paying down long-term liabilities, capital purchases, or other one-time general fund priorities. So next I want to provide a brief update on CalPERS because they recently announced their preliminary investment return for last fiscal year of 21.3%. Returns above their 7% assumed rate of return, which is also called the discount rate, will reduce future pension costs for the city and the city's unfunded liabilities. However, in that same announcement, CalPERS indicated their intent to trigger their funding risk mitigation policy for the first time, which the CalPERS board approved back in 2015. The purpose of this policy is to reduce the volatility of future investment return for the pension system in order to increase the long-term sustainability of the pension plans. So that policy takes a significant portion of the excess investment returns and uses it to pay down or reduce the discount rate, in this case from the current 7% down to 6.8% going forward. The lower discount rate allows CalPERS to restructure their portfolio to invest in less risky assets that have less volatility. The bottom line is that the CalPERS policy is using some of the surplus investment return to pay for the cost of reducing the discount rate in order for them to invest in less risky assets. The rest of the surplus investment return will reduce the city's pension costs over the next 20 years. And we'll be able to better estimate the net savings to the city in a few months after the CalPERS actuaries update their pension outlook tool that they provide to us to use. And so we'll be able to provide updated information in a few months. At the same time this year, CalPERS is also going through their asset liability management process, and they'll be making a decision in November whether or not to lower their discount rate even further based on the market analysis that they've been provided by their outside experts about the future potential investment returns over the 10, 20, 30-year time frame. And they perform this study every 4 years. And it helps them determine how they allocate the assets in their investment portfolios and what kind of investment return they can expect. And we're following this really closely because if they decide to lower the discount rate below that 6.8%, that will have the impact of increase in the city's costs and the total unfunded long-term liability. And so we'll be following that closely. So that's our CalPERS update. I also wanted to briefly mention the American Rescue Plan funding because the U.S. Treasury had a comment period that was open, and that closed on July 16th. The U.S. Treasury received over 1,000 comment letters from state and local governments from around the country, and I've learned that their review and consideration of all of those comment letters will probably take 30 to 60 days. So we may not have final requirements from the U.S. Treasury until mid-September. But while they're doing that, we are preparing to provide a presentation on September 1st of the guidance as we know it from the U.S. Treasury, as well as preliminary spending plans for the City of Roseville's American Rescue Plan funding. And if the requirements are still not finalized by September 1st, when we provide you that update, we'll come back at another date after the rules are finalized and provide yet another update on the rescue plan funding. Finally, I'd just like to highlight a message from the recent statement from the Federal Reserve, who met last week, and they said the path of the economy continues to depend on the course of the virus. And as you heard from Dom's report tonight, the pandemic apparently isn't over yet, and with this long-term economic impacts of the pandemic still unknown, we continue to follow what's going on in the economy and how it might affect the budget and the financial situation for Roseville. And we'll continue to provide regular financial updates to the City Council and make recommendations that reflect your goal of fiscal responsibility. So with that concludes our presentation, and we're available to answer any questions.
Thank you both. Does council have any questions of either Scott or Dennis? Let's start with Councilmember Alvord.
I don't have questions. It's nice to know that we're in the surplus situation. I understand it's not totally our own doing, but and it is scary knowing what our future is, expecting the full recovery, and listening to the news. And it's like none of us are sure what's going to happen. I'm excited for assuming we are able to get to a full recovery, to talk about how we can further better our city with some of the surplus that we are realized when this fourth quarter is over. So no questions right now, though. Thank you for the report.
How much of this is stimulus induced, and what's the inflation? What's your inflation crystal ball say?
You could ask 10 economists and you'll get 10 different answers.
All right.
I do not know.
On the inflation or on the stimulus induced?
Either one.
Yeah, it kind of tracks with something I heard on a water call this morning. A famous statistician once said, all models are wrong, some are just useful. So, okay, thanks.
Any questions over here?
No questions. 17 to 25 million projected surplus. Looks pretty good. Thank you.
And I like the update on our budget. I just always, not always too excited to hear from CalPERS and some of their new ideas on their interest rates. That's kind of disappointing. Not expecting it, but still disappointing.
Okay, I'll open it up to public comment, and we'll take phone calls. The number to call in is 916-774-5353. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to this item? See none. Do we have any phone calls? We do not have any. I'll close public comment. This is information only, so there's no further action, and we'll move on to the next item, which is item 10.1, Community Facilities District number 3, Municipal Service Annexation number 25, Villages at Sierra Vista Phase B, Annexation of Territory.
Good evening again.
Evening.
Dennis Kaufman, your Assistant City Manager and CFO. This item is a public hearing for the final step in the process to annex Phase B of the Villages at Sierra Vista into the city's Community Facility District number 3. And on June 16th, Council approved the resolution of intent to annex territory into CFD number 3, Municipal Services. The annexation into CFD 3 is a development agreement requirement to fund municipal services so that new development pays for itself. And tonight is the public hearing, which is the final step. Municipal services funded by CFD number 3 include police, fire, and parks, recreation, and library services. And this map on the next slide shows the area being annexed, outlined in orange, with Vista Grande being the southern border of the annexation parcels. And again, this is Phase B in the Villages. So the staff recommendation tonight is to approve the resolution of annexation into Community Facilities District number 3, Municipal Services. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Does the council have any questions? We've seen this item before. Anything over here? Any other questions? Okay.
I just need to report that the number of ballots eligible were 355. The number of yes votes were 355. No votes, 0. So the ballot proceedings passed by a majority vote.
Thank you. And I still need to open up public comment, correct? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay, so we'll open up public comment. If anyone wants to call in, the number is 916-774-5353. Is there anyone tonight that would like to speak to this item? Seeing none, we do not have anyone that wants to speak to this item. So we'll close public comment, and we'll have our clerk read the motion, please.
The motion is to adopt resolution number 21-349, a resolution of annexation of territory to Community Facilities District, authorizing the levy of special tax and submitting levy of tax to qualified electors, which was done, and adopt resolution number 21-350, a resolution declaring results of the special annexation election, determining the validity of prior proceedings, and directing recording of amended notice of special tax lien. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Haddashelt.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert. Yes. Councilmember Bercucci.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes. Okay, next item is item 10.2, statewide community infrastructure program amended and restated participation agreement. We have our Economic Development Director, Laura Matteoli, to present to us.
Good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and members of the council. Laura Matteoli, Economic Development Director for the night. The item before you is a request to approve the City of Roseville's participation in the SCIP program, and we're actually going to amend it and restate it. We are also looking to adopt a new resolution and hold a public hearing. Slide 2. This statewide community infrastructure program is sponsored by the California Statewide Community Development Authority and the League of California Cities. The program is designed to finance fees associated with development and public improvements that would be payable by property owners and developers upon the issuance of a building permit. The proposal tonight is merely to expand the program to also include the funding of community facility districts. The program basically establishes a special assessment on the property that is repaid over a 30-year period. The City of Roseville joined SCIP in 2004. And currently, SCIP has over 117 local agency members. Generally, in order for projects to benefit from SCIP funding, they need to be greater than $500,000, and SCIP has the ability to also fund up to $10 million. Slide 3. SCIP actually provides two different programs. The first program is the SCIP Pooled Revenue Bond Program. This is where a developer has the choice to join a CFD or a special assessment bond as part of a pooled revenue program. The second one, which is what we're looking at today, is a standalone SCIP, Community Facilities District, which issues bonds for larger projects based upon their project schedules. So, since 2003, SCIP has issued over $816 million in bonds, and this has funded more than or almost 300 projects across California. So, the City of Roseville, next slide. The City of Roseville joined SCIP in 2004. The city has participated in 12 bonding cycles, and those have added up to almost $30 million. And in those 12 bonding cycles, we have funded 17 projects. And this is a list of those projects on there. Next slide. The economic development financing programs result in projects moving forward more quickly. These programs are aimed at accelerating community investment as well as development impact fees and the revenues that the city gets. The city also has an administrative processing fee. We're required per our deferred fee policy to have 100% cost recovery. So this results in about 496 for single-family dwelling permits and 1,388 for non-residential projects. So that's the administrative fee that the City of Roseville collects. Last slide. So with that, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt the amended and restated resolution to authorize the city to participate in the statewide community program, which has been expanded to fund CFDs. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does the council have any questions of Laura?
No.
Questions? Councilmember Alford?
I wanted to ask, so we're proposing the SCIP standalone version because we already have the pooled process. I'm very excited about the SCIP program. I know several projects that, and I was on the Wastewater Authority meeting when we chose that. It was impressive, the value of using it. And I know we have a developer who does affordable housing and has used it and was very excited about it helped enable the project to happen. So by using the standalone, I guess I didn't quite catch what additional does that offer us, that the pooling, why wouldn't they just use the pooling?
So using, per the CFD, and approving it through a CFD also allows for other fees to be in a service district, such as school fees. And so it allows them to incorporate more fees and do it on a project-by-project basis.
Okay, so okay, got it. So they're not pooled with everybody else, but they can bring other fees into
Right,
their...
it's a standalone,
Okay, got
and
it.
additional fees are included, such as schools.
Great. I think this is a great thing for the CFD, so...
Yes, it is.
Thank you. That was a very wonderful presentation. I mean, I got to tell you, for your last one, that was... Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to take you through all 12 of, oh, no. We don't want you to go, right? So the longer we keep you here. Now, this is an excellent presentation, and you answered the question I was going to ask about examples of what community facilities are, right? But you answered that, so thank you.
Okay. There are no other comments. I'll open it up to public comment. Phone number to call in, 916-774-5353. Is there anyone here tonight? Is feeling brave, wants to ask Laura a question, or we won't do that to you, Laura. Okay, no questions, no phone calls. We'll close public comment. Unless the city council has any further questions or deliberations, we'll ask our clerk to read the motion.
This is a long one, so adopt amended and restated resolution number 21-351 of the City Council of the City of Roseville authorizing the city to join the statewide Community Infrastructure Program, authorizing the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to accept applications from property owners, conduct special assessment proceedings, and levy assessments and special taxes, and to form assessment districts and community facilities districts within the territory of the City of Roseville, embodying a joint community facilities agreement setting forth terms and conditions of community facilities district financing, approving form and acquisition agreement for use when applicable, and authorizing related actions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Mayor Haddishelt?
Yes.
Councilmember Albert?
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza?
Yes.
And Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes, thank you. Okay, our next item is a department update regarding the park naming, item 11.1, and we have our Director of Parks, Recreations, and Libraries, Jill Geller.
Good evening.
Evening.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Bernasconi and members of the council. I'm Jill Geller, your Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Director, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight and take just a few moments to inform you and our residents about our process to name parks here in Roseville. And I asked Laura if she wanted to give this presentation just to give her one more chance, but she deferred back to me. In July of each year, notification is made to the public through our website and through social media that name suggestions are being sought for new parks that will be under construction during that fiscal year. The process to name a park involves many people. First of all, the community. We look to our residents to provide us with suggested names. At the conclusion of the naming period, we have an internal park naming subcommittee who reviews all submissions and makes recommendations of up to 3 names for each new park to the Parks and Recreation Commission. In turn, the Parks and Recreation Commission shall make recommendation of up to 3 names for each new park to the City Council. Both the Parks and Recreation Commission and the City Council are provided the full list of name submissions in the event they want to consider a name that was not on the recommended list. And the naming process then concludes upon City Council's approval of the park name. So to submit a park name, residents should visit our website at roseville.ca.us/parks. You'll see a photo with a caption that says, "Help Name a Park," which will take you to the page you see on this slide. Here you'll find a link to more details about the park naming process, as well as a link to the suggestion form. We are nearing the end of the submission period for this year, and submissions will be accepted in the City Clerk's office through Friday, August 6th at 3 p.m. If residents don't get the chance to submit their suggestion by Friday, this is an annual process, and submissions are accepted every year. I should also note that suggestions which are not chosen as a park name in the year that they're submitted are retained for 1 more year, so they will be considered during the following fiscal year as well. This is a busy year for park construction, and we have 7 new Roseville parks for which the public can suggest names this year. You can see the park locations on this map, and I'll tell you a little bit about each one, beginning with JM 50 towards the bottom left of the screen, and then working clockwise. JM 50 is a school park of 7.73 acres located at 4651 Upland Drive in Sierra Vista. You'll hear us use the term school park because these parks are located adjacent to schools. This particular park is located adjacent to the future Rex Fortune Elementary School in the Center School District. WV 50 is a school park as well of 8.75 acres located at 4601 Solaire Drive in Westbrook. This park is adjacent to a future Roseville City School. W50D is a neighborhood park, 1.23 acres, at 6485 Garland Way in West Roseville. F94 is a pocket park of 1.45 acres located at 8160 Chalice Court near North Hayden and Holt Parkways. F51 is a school park of 12.15 acres at 2800 North Hayden Parkway, adjacent to Riego Creek Elementary School in the Roseville City School District. CO62 is a linear park, 2.3 acres at 8711 Crimson Ridge Way in Campus Oaks. And CO64/HP is a citywide park of approximately 8.5 acres in Campus Oaks and adjacent to the former HP campus. So we absolutely welcome the public submissions, so I'll close with this slide that once again shows residents how they can engage in the process. Again, submissions are accepted through Friday at 3 p.m. and should be submitted to the city clerk's office. So at this time, I will welcome any questions.
Thank you so much for that information, Jill. Does the council have any questions, comments? We'll start with Councilmember Cucci.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't realize we had 7. More, I was thinking 2, so that's exciting. The linear park, is it exactly what it is? Is it linear? I mean, is it like tennis courts or?
Well, no, the property is linear, but there may not be tennis courts on it, but that's just the shape of the property. So I don't have the amenities at each of these parks with me.
I just didn't know it limited it to a.
A lot of these smaller parks are a lot of open turf in the coming year. They all typically have a play structure for kids and then open turf, but it will be a linear-shaped park.
Okay, that's just kind of want to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No questions. Thank you for your presentation.
How big is that? Is that linear park 10 acres?
The linear park, the one that I mentioned was linear, is only 2.3 acres. It's a smaller
It
park.
runs from the roundabout there at the Campus Oaks all the way down to Roseville, down to the recreational facilities owned by the business properties, right? So
that is the CO64 park. That is the citywide park, which is 8.5 acres.
Well, I'm sorry, can we get the map back up?
Yeah. Yeah, could we put the map back up, please? So both of those parks, CO62 and CO64, are in the Campus Oaks area, but CO64 is the park that you're talking about, which goes from Roseville Parkway down to the ball fields on the HP property. And it is an 8.5-acre citywide park.
But not the park that's owned by the business association.
Right.
Is it, or I'm sorry to be...
The park that's owned by the Business Association is not on this map. It is just south of CO64.
And the linear one is the one that goes along that road that goes down, right? No.
The park you're thinking of that goes along the road is CO64. CO62 is closer to Wood Creek Oaks. It's a few blocks away from the... It's called a linear park, but it's not the linear park that you're thinking of. The linear park is just a small 2.3-acre park that is to the west of the citywide park, still within Campus Oaks.
How big is 64 then?
64 is 8.5 acres.
It's a rectangle.
Yes, it is linear as well. It is linear in shape, yes.
Thank you.
Is that confusing enough?
Is that linear talk tonight?
I shouldn't have used that word. My apologies.
Rectangular.
In the world of drought and the city's announcement about needing to cut back more for our residents, investing in next year in case we have. But could you just talk about how these fields are watered? Just because I think there's people in the community that don't realize it.
Yes, our sports fields are watered a little more regularly than the rest of the landscapes, again, just to keep them safe and playable for the youth in our area. But our landscapes and our regular park grounds are being watered according to the drought requirements.
On these new parks, though, is that all fresh water?
It is recirculated water in our newer parks, yes.
Jill, as I remember on the form when you fill it out, some of them, one of the questions when people submit for a park name is that you can request a certain park if a family or a community member has an idea for a particular park, or a name can go into the whole pot for any of the parks to be considered. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if there's a specific type of park that they want, like there's a connection to a trail, and so they don't know what parks might be close to a trail, but that's important to them. They want that connection. They can just put that on the form as well, that I don't have a particular park, but if there's something that's got some trail connectivity, those would be the ones we're interested in.
Great. Okay, I think this is really great information. The citywide park in the Campus Oaks, what is proposed there in terms of amenities? Is that soccer field, primarily like what is that?
There is no soccer field on that property. There are pickleball courts there. There is a dog park. In the future, there are a skate park and a BMX track. I don't think we have the funding for that in the first phase. And then again, a lot of nice green space and picnic areas, play structures.
Okay, great. Any other questions of the council? This is information only, but I will open it up to public comment. The phone number to call in is 916-774-5353. Is there anyone tonight that would like to speak to this item? And do we have any phone calls? We do not have any phone calls. We really appreciate the information. Thank you so much. Okay, so that wraps our agenda up, and I will call for one more just blanket public comment for anyone to call in on any item that's not on the agenda. This is something that we do at the beginning and the end of our meetings. So I'm assuming that there's no one here tonight that would like to come to the dais to make a comment. We will take phone calls, 916-774-5353. Do we have anyone? Okay, we do not have anyone that would like to make a public comment, so I'll close public comment. We have any comments from our city manager or our city attorney and staff comments?
I wasn't going to do this, but since she's still here, I feel remiss not to. So, Laura, over, the last 10 years since I've been here, of 18 people across the department head team and executive team, at the end of this year, there'll be 2 left. And so I've seen a lot of people come and a lot of people go, and I can tell you there are a few people I will miss more than you, Laura. I think your generosity, your energy, and your passion, and your ability to execute is unmatched. It's something that not only this city, this community, but me personally have benefited from. You've left this city and this organization a better place. We're better because you were here. Thank you.
Very true. Thank you. Okay, council comments. We'll start with Councilmember Rakucci. Anything else tonight?
Just a couple things. This week was pretty much busy on my water and electricity meetings. We're talking about water and electricity. So we had a meeting with Placer County Water and City of Roseville water meetings, along with Councilmember Albert, and just going over what 20% of reductions mean, and how important our interties that we have, and how we move water around, and how we work as a city to keep making sure that we have sufficient water for our community, and actually the resources around us is one of them. And then with Northern California Power Agency is looking at our electricity is pretty good, but that's not good enough because there's people around us that are having difficulty, and many times the City of Roseville goes out and is able to use our excess electricity to others. So that's a good point, but it's something that we're just watching real closely. One thing I wanted to mention that's kind of interesting. It's happened before, but just for the community to be aware, I've had a couple of my friends that have sold their house and bought a new house, and they were so excited and telling me how they're moving into Roseville. Well, you know, what they think is Roseville isn't Roseville, because they buy houses that are out in West Roseville, but they're on the county side. And so their post office address is Roseville, California. So I've had these people who had absolutely no idea that they did not buy in Roseville. And it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I have a son who lives in the county, but he knows he's in the county, and it's Roseville, California, but he knows. But these people who are right next to, you know, Sierra Vista are very close, but on the other side, they just think it's all Roseville. So if you have people, and the houses are very nice, nothing wrong with that. It's just that so people understand what did they buy into. And is that what they wanted to buy into? So just be very, very cautious. You might have remembered this happened when Granite Bay, same thing with Granite Bay, people that lived out there was called Roseville. People would actually want to be on one of our commissions and put their name in, and that's how they found out they didn't live in Roseville. It's very sad if that's one of you, you know, if that's you, you know, it happens to you. And they had no idea. And it just, I know buyer beware, but if you have anybody who's just looking just to say, hey, by the way, you know, just to watch that. And one other thing, all of us went out yesterday with the 37th annual National Night Out with police and fire and different police organizations, and working with the community and how you can be safe in your community and get to know your police and your fire and Arcona, and any questions you ever wanted to ask anyone. And there were people who were really interested in how to be self-prepared in their home, wanted maybe to talk to the fire and police about, you know, safety tips and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. It was hot, like always, but it was a lot of fun, and a lot of people came out. And what surprised me, there were some people I've seen over the years that, you know, that come, which is great, and there were people absolutely brand new, never been there before, moved in older areas, but they're new people in the neighborhood, and they were there and very happy. And so it was kind of like a 4th of July parade to see all these happy people running around and enjoying being with other people, you know, like life is good. So that was good. So if I had to tell you about water and electricity, I'd at least have to tell you about happy people walking around.
Councilman Mendoza?
One of my council assignments is the Roseville Police Activities League, or RPAL, and they are planning on moving forward, because it was interrupted last year because of COVID, but they're planning on moving forward with their annual Shop with a Cop. If you're familiar with this program and have participated in it in the past, you know just what a great and fun experience that is. If you haven't, I would encourage you to go to the RPAL website or the Roseville Police website. There's information going up there this week, from what I understand. Excuse me. It takes about $300 to sponsor one child. It's about $250 for the goods and clothing and things that they can purchase through Target. And then the other $50 goes for various administrative services and transportation, and the police officers that do a lot of behind the scenes and the lunch that gets catered for those children afterwards and little things like that. So it's about $250 for the merchandise, about $50 for other things, so $300 per child. So it's never too early to start thinking about Christmas, I guess, but more importantly, is the benefit to these children in our community and what they get from this. And I'm really excited that the police department is moving forward with this year, and Target and all of our community partners are rallying behind this to bring this back this year. So if you're interested in supporting a child, or you have a business that wants to get behind this worthwhile cause, you can go to the Roseville Police Activity Leagues, or RPAL's website. There's information there. The money you give to RPAL then gets redistributed towards this program, and then those funds go to pay for the gift cards and the merchandise checkout for each child as they go through and purchase their needed items at Target. So if you have a chance, please check that out, and I'll obviously be promoting that from now until the end of November, because I think it's the second week of December is when they actually do the shopping. It's at the Target on Fairway Drive there. So please check that out. And as Councilmember Rakucci mentioned, I had the opportunity to go out to with my fellow council members to the National Night Out, and it was good to see everybody and meet people that I didn't know before and see people that I haven't seen in a while. So that was an awful lot of fun. And other than that, I have nothing else to report. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Haddashot?
Yeah, I'll pick up on the National Night Out theme. It was great. We're out of West Park and Fitterman Farms, and one of the things we had in our packet was a little guide to community services. So both, it was somebody who had just moved from the Bay Area. I overheard the conversation, we just moved here 6 months ago. Here you go. There you go. Here's how you connect. And we were at Buljan Park where we ate a few hot dogs and great turnout at Buljan Park. And somebody asked me there, how do I watch the council? So if you're watching tonight on the YouTube channel, I'm glad we connected on that, and then I got over to Maidu, one of those great neighborhoods where we had USA softball recently, and heard from the folks over there about the USA softball, and then I heard the best thing, and both the mayor and council member Rakucci know Larry from over there. And he goes, man, you guys are good. You guys really, Larry's probably watching tonight, but, it was really nice to be out there and to just interact with folks and to give them the ability to answer any questions they had or just help them connect with the city. So it was just wonderful. This morning, I was on a call, a 2x2x2. No, I think it's just 3 2s on Baseline Riego, so the planning's moving forward on that road between Placer and Sutter County. More to come on that. Like anything, it takes a long time till it comes to fruition. Do we know what the schedule is for this Saturday with respect to, you do? Okay. I'll let you pick that up then. Yep. All right. And then... as we always do on our consent calendar, we have some terrific things. One of my favorite things on there tonight was the zero-emission battery electric buses we're purchasing. So for that. And on a personal note, this morning I remembered to reset my sprinklers to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Off on Sunday, Saturday, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll. You got to do some scenario planning for next year, but that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Alvord?
Yeah, National Night Out was fantastic. After skipping it last year, it was just very refreshing, and it just seemed different than years past. I think everybody was just very, very friendly, awesome conversations. I think everything I heard from you guys, same experience. The community was just excited to be out and reconnecting again, and I think that was fantastic. And every place I went, there were brand new people that thought that was neat. I wanted to mention about the Roseville water conservation that the news has been hitting rather harshly, I think, but about trying to increase it to 20% conservation, and there's a lot of detail behind it. The city website has a lot of information, and there will be more coming. But one of the things I just want to summarize, because we've been getting emails on it, and I've been getting a lot of people calling about it. The biggest thing about the 20% is we haven't done real well lately with our 10%. And the 20% is a community-wide thing. So some of us, like on the west side, we don't have lawns, we have drip systems, and we don't have to push it out to the days. So some people are asking, well, how can I conserve when I've already got a house that's already, minimal? That's great. If that's the best you can do, that's great. You're participating, you're helping. But the other big thing about the 20%, and again, you'll hear more about this, but we're basically investing in next year, because if we don't have a really wet winter, next year is going to be harsher. And so we have a deal going with the PCWA that everything that we're able to save in this 20%, we actually will get on credit and be able to get back next year. And so that's a big deal for us. And so I think that's something the city's trying to be really smart. They're not trying to be harsh. And I know people are real concerned. And it also has nothing to do with development. Development's not making this harder on us because every new development project has to bring in extra water for it that doesn't affect the rest of the city. And that's really important because I think we're all getting hit up with, well, why do you guys keep developing if we're having a water shortage? Well, in order for them to do that, they have to have extra water that comes in. So again, it doesn't affect the rest of us. But try to get up to speed. I do think it's a very responsible thing that our city's doing, and I'm impressed with the reasoning behind it and the investment that we have. And Laura Matteoli, again, we have people retire here all the time because they've been here such a long time, but you are just so special. Thank you so much for serving our city.
Oh, it's very nice. We all concur with that. My comments will be brief. It's interesting because I was asked today, I'm sure we're asked this all the time, how often do you all meet, And it's like, well, twice a month. But I think I'm counting since the last time we met, I've probably been a part of or involved in about 10 different meetings from the utilities to Sun City to county to baseline, and the list goes on, which I know it's an honor to be able to do it, but it is a lot of hours. So just briefly, I'll share that I will be at Sun City tomorrow morning to swear in their board. So that'll be exciting. It's kind of hopefully here for a while, but kind of this normalcy because we haven't been able to do that in person. Saturday, Vice Mayor Hadashot talked about Saturday. Saturday, there's another park dedication at R.G. Phillips Park at 10 a.m. And I did not ask Don this, but hopefully the neighborhood, there's been communication that has gone out about that, because I feel like maybe when the last parks, some of the people in the neighborhood did not know about it. So hopefully we can get the word out, if it's not already out, about that park dedication, as well as Johnson Pool, the 100-year celebration that will start at 1 p.m. on Saturday as well. And thank you for the reminder about the sprinklers. I need to take care of that at home. So unless anyone else has any questions, we will adjourn the meeting. We will meet back here, is it the 17th?
18th.
18th. So the 18th, August 18th at 6 p.m. Thank you all for being here. Laura, all the best to you. Okay. Good evening.